This weekend, the heavens opened up and the city exploded in a burst of light. I'm sure it happened because the gusts of wind told me so. And of course, the headlines in the daily newspaper agreed as they swept their ominous messages across the city of Toronto. Somewhere, an army of voices declared a war on blackness and violence and darkness, and the city exploded right before our eyes, and no one could do anything of it. The newspaper spoke hushed words, spreading into the minds of the people, warning the law-abiding citizens that evil lurked among us. Gangs of blackness and violence in the heart of this city. The newspaper said sternly and without challenge that this evil, like all darkness, must be purged from our lives, once and for all. However, the choruses of voices that came hurtling forth wrapped within the wind spoke stories that the newspapers would never dare to print. Stories that screamed of sadness and urgency, stories of violent neglect, and stories of a world spiraling out of control. The wind shrieked, saying it takes a broken world for a broken man to pull a trigger, for he is never alone. It is collective and communal process. But the newspapers would never say this, because then we'd all realize just how accountable each one of us is. Because the winds implored us to remember all that we had forgotten to do. For we had forgotten to mourn the death of a man, and we had forgotten that men break when they have been broken. We had forgotten that cities and people explode when they have no other choice. And finally, we had forgotten that darkness is not evil, it is sacred. And as the city exploded, the only question that most of us asked was, how do we keep this darkness from our lives? When instead we should have asked how we have become so far gone that we can't mourn the life of a young black boy killed from broad daylight in the busiest mall in the busiest city in this country. And as the winds thrash the streets and the rain soak the people, they beg me to listen. For when the city explodes, it is always a collective process. For men break when they have been broken. This weekend, the police were on high alert. The newspapers assured us all that the explosion in the city must come from darkness and blackness, all to get blown up in bursts of masculinity, ticking time bombs. But the wind warned of a danger much deeper, and the police were still on high alert, searching and silencing.